We know her image. It is one of the most terrifying and iconic in all of history. The hissing snakes, writhing where hair should be. The eyes, wide with fury, capable of turning any living man to solid stone. We know her name, Medusa. For thousands of years, her story has been told as a horror story, a myth to frighten children, a warning against female monstrosity. She is the beast in the labyrinth of a hero's journey, a trophy to be won. Perseus, the shining hero, slays the monster and saves the world. But what if that story is a lie? What if the monster we were taught to fear was in fact the victim? What if the hero was an assassin and the real villains were the gods themselves? Tonight, we unravel one of the most profound injustices in mythology. This is not the story of a monster. This is the story of how the gods created one and how history blamed her for it. This is the tragic truth of Medusa. To understand the tragedy, we must first understand who Medusa was before she was the monster. And here, the myth itself divides, offering us two very different portraits. The oldest whispers, from the time of the ancient Greeks like the poet Hesiod, tell of a different origin. They say Medusa was born a monster. She was one of three sisters, the Gorgons, daughters of ancient sea deities. Her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, were immortal, fearsome creatures from birth. Medusa, strangely, was the only one who was mortal. She was simply a beast, destined to be hunted. It's a simple, cold explanation, a monster born to be slain. But centuries later, as the Roman Empire rose, the poet Ovid revisited her tale. He offered a new version, a version that was far more human and infinitely more tragic. It is this version that has haunted us, and it is this version that speaks to a darker truth. In Ovid's tale, Medusa was not born a monster. She was born a woman, a mortal of breathtaking beauty. Her hair in particular was her pride, long, flowing, and magnificent, the envy of all who saw it. More than beautiful, she was devout. Medusa was a dedicated virgin priestess in the grand temple of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare. She spent her days in service, honoring the very goddess who demanded chastity. Medusa was not a monster. She was a model of piety and grace. But in the world of the Greek gods, beauty is not a gift. It is a curse. And her devotion was not a shield. It was a vulnerability. Her beauty did not go unnoticed, and it attracted the attention of the most powerful and volatile force in the world, a god. His name was Poseidon, lord of the earthquakes, ruler of the seas, a god known for his power, his pride, and his unrestrained lust. He saw Medusa, and he desired her. He did not care for her vows of celibacy. He did not care for her devotion to his niece, Athena. He saw what he wanted, and he took it. He hunted her. Medusa, terrified, fled to the only place she believed she was safe, the sacred temple of Athena. She ran to the foot of the goddess's own statue, clinging to the cold marble, praying for protection from the very goddess she had served her entire life. The temple doors burst open, the air grew cold. Poseidon entered, and there, in the holiest of sanctuaries, beneath the unblinking eyes of Athena's statue, Poseidon assaulted Medusa. He violated her, and he violated the sanctity of the temple itself. Medusa lay broken on the temple floor, betrayed, defiled. She looked up at the statue of her patron, her goddess, her protector, and for a long, agonizing moment, nothing happened. Then, the goddess appeared. Athena descended, her eyes burning not with comfort, but with a cold, divine fury. But this rage was not directed at Poseidon, the god who had instigated the crime, who had defiled her sacred space. He was, after all, her uncle, a fellow Olympian, too powerful to challenge, too male to blame. Instead, Athena turned her rage upon the victim. She blamed Medusa. Some say it was jealousy, that Athena had long envied Medusa's beautiful hair. Others say it was a twisted form of justice, that Medusa had allowed the temple to be defiled. And so the punishment began. It was not swift, it was a meticulous, cruel transformation. Athena's curse ripped through her. The beautiful hair that had attracted the gods' attention, the hair Athena so envied, began to twist and writhe. Each strand thickened, turning to green-black scales. Her locks came alive, transforming into a crown of venomous vipers. Her skin, once soft, became a tough, grotesque hide. Her face, once lovely, contorted into a mask of permanent rage and despair. And finally, the cruelest stroke. Athena gifted her a new power, a defense, so that she would never be touched by a man again. She cursed Medusa's eyes, so that any living being who met her gaze would instantly be turned to cold, lifeless stone. In one horrific moment, Medusa the priestess was gone, and Medusa the monster was born. This was not a defense. It was a prison. Athena banished her from the civilized world, casting her out to a desolate island at the edge of the world, a place where she would harm no one and see no one. Think of the isolation, the absolute, soul-crushing loneliness. Medusa was now a walking paradox. Her only means of self-defense was also her ultimate curse. She could not look at a bird in a tree, a deer in the forest, or a single human face without destroying it. Imagine the first time it happened. A lost sailor shipwrecked on her shore. Perhaps she tried to speak, to beg for help. And in one glance, he was just a statue, a monument to her curse. She was utterly alone, trapped with her two immortal Gorgon sisters, who, in this version, were now her only family. The world forgot the priestess. It forgot the crime of Poseidon and the cruelty of Athena. The rumors that escaped that lonely island were not of a tragic victim, but of a hideous monster who killed all who came near. She became a legend, a beast to be hunted, a test for heroes seeking glory. Many came, seeking to add her head to their collection of trophies. All of them failed, leaving behind a garden of grotesque stone statues, a testament not to her evil, but to their own hubris. And then, the hero arrived. His name was Perseus. He was on a quest, not to save the world, but to save his mother from the unwanted advances of a corrupt king, Polydectes. The king had mockingly demanded an impossible price for his mother's freedom, the head of Medusa. Perseus was doomed to fail. But unlike Medusa, who prayed and received no help, Perseus was given every advantage by the gods. The gods who had ruined Medusa now conspired to end her. Hermes, the messenger god, gave him winged sandals to fly. He gave him an unbreakable sword. He was given Hades's cap of invisibility, making him unseen. And Athena, the very architect of Medusa's suffering, provided the final pieces. She gave Perseus a mirrored shield, highly polished, so he could see Medusa's reflection without looking at her directly. She gave him the plan. This was not a battle. It was an assassination. Perseus flew to her island, invisible. He found the Gorgons asleep in their cave. He crept closer, his eyes fixed on the reflection in Athena's shield. He saw not a monster, but a woman, her face in sleep, perhaps looking more human, more tragic than he expected. He did not hesitate. With one swing of his divine sword, he beheaded Medusa in her sleep. The tragedy did not end with her death. From her severed neck, her children were born, the children of Poseidon, the product of her assault, trapped within her until her death. The winged horse, Pegasus, and the giant Chrysaor sprang forth. Even in death, her body was a weapon. Perseus put her head in a bag. He flew away, using her still potent gaze to turn his enemies to stone, including King Polydectes. He used her, a victim of assault, as a tool to save his own mother. And what of Athena? Perseus, grateful, gave the head of Medusa to the goddess. Athena, in a final act of grotesque victory, mounted the head onto her own shield, the Aegis. The face of the woman she had cursed, the woman who had served her, been violated in her temple, and been punished for it, became Athena's personal emblem of power, a warning to all. For centuries, this was the story. Medusa was the monster, Perseus was the hero. But today we see the story for what it is. It is a text of profound victim blaming. A woman is assaulted, and she is the one punished. She is the one turned into a monster. She is the one exiled, and she is the one hunted and killed, her death celebrated as a triumph of good over evil. The gods, the true villains, escaped all consequence. Poseidon faced no punishment. Athena was celebrated for her wisdom. In the modern world, Medusa's image has been reclaimed. She is no longer just a monster. For survivors of assault, for those who have been silenced, for women who have been called monstrous for their own rage, she has become an icon. She is a symbol of female rage, of justified fury against an unjust system. Her gaze, once a curse, is now seen as a tool of power, a way of turning those who would harm her to stone. Medusa's story is a brutal, necessary reminder. It forces us to ask, how many of the monsters in our history were not monsters at all, but victims whose stories were written by their abusers? The greatest sin Medusa committed was not having snakes for hair. It was being a woman, in a world ruled by petty, cruel, and unaccountable gods. Her legend is not a horror story. It is a tragedy,